Hello there. Sadiq Khan is not a happy bunny. He doesn't like Keir Starmer talking about soaring mass migration, turning the UK into an island of strangers. And this is where Keir Starmer's screeching handbrake U-turn on mass immigration will lead him. Right into confrontation with those like the London Mayor Sadiq Khan, who believes we should just let rip with open borders. The same Mayor of London, who refuses to acknowledge or talk about the groomers, let alone have a full inquiry into their activities in London. So it comes as zero surprise to me that the Mayor of London is displeased with Keir Starmer's talk about mass migration being a squalid chapter for our politics, our economy and our country, and something that risks turning Britain into an island of strangers with forces pulling the country apart. With Khan telling James O'Brien on LBC that he himself wouldn't have chosen those words. And O'Brien priming him nicely by telling Khan that Starmer was talking about him. Khan also said, "My job is to reassure those of you listeners who may be nervous and touchy." Such policy is made in Westminster, Mr. Khan, not in London City Hall. And I will also say that right now there is a large and growing number of people out there whose families have lived in the UK for generations, who are feeling distinctly nervous and touchy about the high levels of immigration and what it brings with it. But they don't seem to matter in Mr. Khan's internationalist mind, do they? For him, the only people who must be able to feel fully comfortable and at home in the UK are the recently arrived. The rest of us, it seems, must just suck it up. Our concerns are not valid to him. The cultures of the newly arrived must, in Khan's eyes, be fully embraced, while the centuries of UK culture must be actively dispatched down the U-bend. Now, just to remind everyone, this is what Sadiq Khan said back in 2023 when speaking to Channel 4 News about immigration. Devolve to cities like London the powers to have a regional shortage occupation list, so I can be in charge of deciding how many people come to London to help our economy. Yes, he wants the powers to be able to override national immigration policy and just keep them coming in. While right now he's shutting London schools down because low birth rates coupled with the sky-high London cost of living is forcing ordinary folk out of the city. Something that tells me those people coming in to replace those leaving the city will soon be following them out. So you can see what will probably happen demographically in London, can't you? Hence Khan's obsession with building over the Greenbelt to house the lower paid people so they can commute in and out of London to serve the rich and powerful that live there. And it would not be long after that when all those new houses were snapped up by the wealthy either, possibly to rent out to the poor workers at obscene rents. All so that London, which was once the cultural and financial capital of England and the UK, can keep growing into a humongous, homogeneous, non-UK global city for all comers. But Khan's Labour Party leader and Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, has, it seems, woken up to the fact that unlimited inward migration is a threat to the nation. And what is striking about that is Starmer used phrases of striking similarity to those used by Enoch Powell, where Powell talked in his controversial speech about the existing population never being consulted about mass immigration, while it made them strangers in their own land. Powell also talked about the growth of forces acting against integration, eerily similar to Starmer's talk of forces pulling the country apart. And those are the comparisons that have got the likes of Sadiq Khan all of a froth. He wants the mass immigration experiment to forge relentlessly on, with no thought to the settled population, no thought at all, other than to allow the woke to double down on the myth of white privilege and the like. And all that talk about everyone being a descendant of immigrants. If that's really the case, then where does all this white privilege emanate from? Now, Keir Starmer has come under fire from his own MPs for what they see as anti-immigrant talk. Remember that to the woke, any talk of controlling borders or deporting foreign criminals is automatically racist and anti-immigrant. Nadia Whittome, for example, said, "The step up in anti-migrant rhetoric from the government is shameful and dangerous. Migrants are our neighbours, friends and family. To suggest that Britain risks becoming an island of strangers because of immigration mimics the scaremongering of the far right." I wonder what woke people like her would be saying if we offered the at-risk white farmers of South Africa unlimited access to the UK immigration system. Now, Keir Starmer's spokesman said that the PM stood by his words, saying that it is reasonable to recognise that uncontrolled migration of recent years has put pressure on public services. Now, this sounds like a get-out statement to me, just pointing at public services. The reality is that it has, and is meant to have, a UK culture-destroying aspect to it too. The PM spokesman also said, "The Prime Minister was using his own words to recognise the contribution immigrants have made, but also that uncontrolled migration has been too high. This government is not going to shy away from this issue." Well, he not only shied away from it in the past for decades, he has also actively worked at encouraging it. He's the one who's helped block deportations of criminals and worked against just about all forms of UK border control. Even now, with all Starmer's plans in place, we'll still probably see a regular annual net inward migration figure of about 250,000, a far cry from the low tens of thousands we used to have. But net migration is not the whole story, because if 500,000 people leave the UK every year, then it would take 750,000 newcomers to end up here with 250,000 net. And that is what accelerates the demographic and cultural change across the UK. Now, Sadiq Khan also said to James O'Brien that he understood the context of Keir Starmer's immigration white paper, and that it was all about providing solutions for mass migration. Well, the solution for most in the UK is that these large numbers must be reined in right down to the low tens of thousands, and that it has to start now. Also, that all foreign-born criminals should be shown the door never to return. Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching.